Hello friends, now we are going to start a new video which is on the remaining chapter of chapter 3, fiber to fabric. And last time we left off with the topic yarn to fabric. So let's start with it. And this time I think NCERT website got an update, and so this is because we can see two pages side by side, so it's much more easier. And I think the video will become larger when we see it on YouTube, so it's better. So let's start. Yarn to fabric. There are many ways by which fabrics are made from yarns. The two main processes are weaving and knitting. So let's read the weaving process. In activity 2, you might have noticed that a fabric is made up of two sets of yarns arranged together. The process of arranging two sets of yarns together to make a fabric is called weaving. Let us try to weave some paper strips. So last time in activity 2 we just experienced that they have lots of yarns to arrange together to make a fabric. So now we'll do activity 5, in which we are going to arrange the paper strips like those yarns that we saw in activity 2. So it's just basic an activity. You can do it to make a plain sheet of paper, and it's just to tell you that how can we make it. So if you want, you can do this activity. I will just read the activity. Take two sheets of paper of different colors. Cut square pieces of length and width equal to 30 cm from each sheet. Cut square pieces. I don't understand how it would be square. It should be rectangle. Now fold both the sheets into half. On one sheet, draw the lines as shown, figure 3.12a, and the other as shown in figure 3.12b. So these both. So we need to just fold them and make strips of paper of equal size of the both sheets, so that the strips that we cut out are of equal size too. So just basically these all paragraphs just say that take a sheet of paper, then cut it into equal sized strips of paper, and the both sheets should be equal sized, and then arrange them in this way of manner, like not a crisscross, but in an above below like that pattern. The strip should go above one and then below the other. Is the other one, the other strip. It should go under, and then the other it should go above. You will understand it by yourself. I can't explain that much. Just see this paper. Just understand it. I also made this and it was nice. And I would not recommend to add glue to it, but that would make it stronger. When I added glue to mine, it just ruined it and there were spots of glue all over. In a similar manner, two sets of yarns are woven to make a fabric. The yarns are much thinner than our paper strips. Of course, weaving of fabric is done by looms. Figure 3.13. This is a lady weaving on a hand loom. The looms are either hand operated or power operated. So this is a hand loom. She is using a hand loom, making it hand operated. Well, means that it's manual. Whereas the power operated is called a power loom. It is a machine basically which does the work for us. Knitting. Now let's get to the other way we can convert yarn to fabric, which is knitting. Have you noticed that our sweaters are knitted? In knitting, a single yarn is used to make a piece of fabric. Have you ever pulled the yarn from a torn piece of sock? Don't do it or the sock will get ruined. If you have an old sock, then only do that, because this will just make the sock very dirty looking and unwearable. It's just an activity. You can try it on old socks. What happens? A single yarn gets pulled out continuously as fabric gets unraveled. socks, and many other clothing items are made of knitting fabrics. Knitting is done by hand and also in machines. So knitting is also done by manually and by machines. So knitting and the weaving have the difference that in weaving we take two sets of yarns, whereas in knitting we just take one long strand of yarn. So, and it uses this ball type of wool ball. I will say wool ball. I don't know what's it called. I think wool ball only. So it's very fluffy and nice. I have also seen one, and I tried to knit a sweater, but it all went wrong. Before moving on, I would like to read this. Pahili wants to know if you have seen any fabrics that are made of the fibers of the outer covering of coconut. Have you these? What are these fibers normally used for? I don't know. As coconut, I think is like jute or not jute. It is used for making hats, I think, because many hats have a coarse feeling in them, not jute, as jute can't be used to make a hat, as it would be just too rough for a head. I think coconut fibers are used for that only. Now, weaving and netting are used for making different kinds of fabric. These fabrics are used for a variety of clothing items. History of clothing materials. So, now we have done how weaving and knitting are done, but now we'll learn history of these clothing materials. So, have you ever wondered what materials people used in ancient times for clothes? It appears that in those times, people used the bark and the big leaves or trees, animal skins and furs to cover themselves. You have seen in many movies, old movies, not old movies in our timeline. These movies are new, but we say that the people shown in them are very old. They are like Stone Age people, and many cartoons also showed them. So you have seen that they wore the skins of tigers and like saber-tooth animals and that other things that they hunted. Sometimes mammoths and other things. This is just an example. So basically, they wore the skin of tigers, lions, elephants, kangaroos sometimes in Africa, in regions of Africa. After people began to settle in the agricultural communities, they learned to weave twigs and grass into mats and baskets. Vines, animal fleece, or hair were twisted together into long strands. These were woven into fabric. The early Indians wore fabrics made out of cotton that grew in the regions near the river Ganga. Flax is also a plant that gives natural fibers. In ancient Egypt, cotton as well as flax were cultivated near the river Nile and were used for making fabrics. So flax is another plant used to make fabrics, but it was mostly used in ancient Egypt. In those days, stitching was not known. People simply draped the fabrics around different parts of the body. Many different ways of draping fabrics were used. With the invention of sewing needle, the people started stitching the fabrics to make clothes. Stitching is the word that one of the words that are very hard to pronounce properly. Stitched clothes have gone through many variations since the invention, but it is not amazing that even today, sari, dhoti, lungi, and turban is used as an unstitched piece of fabric. Just as there is a large variety of food eaten all over the country, a large variety exists also in the fabrics and clothing items. So this means, like in previous chapters, you have learned that we eat different kinds of food all over the India, like idlis in south and idli dosas in the south and samosas and other things in the north. So every place has its own food items, and like that only every place has its own clothing material. Like if you live in India, you will wear cashew clothes. You can see cashew clothes of India are different from those of Russians. Now this is a small diagram which shows cotton rolls are then converted into fiber through the process of ginning or combing. We just comb them to get them out. That's a different process. After combing, we do ginning so that we can convert it into fiber. Then we spin it to make a yarn, and then through weaving and knitting, we can make it into a fabric. So the keywords of this chapter are cotton, cotton wool, fabric, fiber, knitting, spinning, weaving, and yarn. Summary, you can just summarize. It is very good to summarize a summary. I just pause the video. Now comes to the exercise part. As I have told earlier, if I do anything wrong in the exercises, you will just get over me and just shout in the comments. So I will just give you a homework, and like I can't give you homework, just it is a task. If you want to do, you can do, and it is better if you do, as these will make you good in the study of this chapter. So just watch the video again if you like and couldn't understand it in one way, and for whatever reason, if you want, you can watch it again and just revise all the things and key points, or just read the summary for the key points and do this exercise, because this exercise is very important. And you can search over the internet and see all the other quizzes on this chapter, as this is NCERT and very popular, so you can find many quizzes, and it's good to do because it generates your IQ, it increases it. So thank you for this so thank you for watching my video. If you liked my video, give it a like and thumbs up, and if you just like all my videos, just please give me a subscribe, as it helps a lot, and I will be encouraged to make more. And recently I hit 50 subscribers, and right now it is 51, so I would like it that if I hit 60 soon, that would be very great. So this was the chapter 3, fiber to fabric, and watch the first part for the continuation. Thank you. Bye bye.